Hey, so it's been a year, a month, a week, a minute. Oh gosh, I don't even know, and it's only the second week. Second week? When are we? It's only this. Yeah, it is only the second week of Feb. That's crazy. It feels like it's been a year since 2023 happened, or since Christmas. And I think a lot of this exhaustion, a lot of this uncertainty and confusion about time and the things that are bound to happen with the things that are happening, I think we can kind of pinpoint this to being overstimulated with everything going on around the world. And so let's talk about that. Why everything has become so hard to process as the days go by. So hey again, welcome to Psypop. In this series where we'll be tackling how pop culture or something in pop culture has displayed a phenomenon where we can learn from it in the context of psychology and mental health. If you like the series and don't want to miss out on our future episodes, don't forget to show us support by liking and subscribing, and don't forget to click on the bell button down below to get a notification whenever we post a new video. And so let's start off with overstimulation, or what we could also know it as sensory overload. So overstimulation happens when our body's five senses, sight, taste, hearing, touching, and smelling, become overwhelmed due to the environment around you. For example, it can happen while you're at a party. There's loud music, lots of people talking, all sorts of food, drinks, and maybe even some smoking. It's a lot of things that can happen all at once. And so your brain receives a lot of information all at once, and there's a chance where it cannot properly process anything at all. And because of this, an overstimulated person becomes uncomfortable. And so it's important to note that overstimulation can happen to anyone at any age and at any time really. The difference is how often a person experiences it. And so if we look into overstimulation in this current generation, we'll notice a common pattern that's become increasingly prevalent as time passes. So we can pinpoint this to three things. The first one is social media and our technological advancements. So since the rise of media accessibility and technological advancements, virtual spaces have sneaked its way into our everyday lives. From Reels and TikToks to iPads and virtual reality or virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa, it's no wonder that overstimulation happens when the human brain doesn't hold the same capacity to process information as artificial intelligence. And on the flip side of this, children nowadays have greater access to the virtual world. And whether this is something part of our increasingly technological world or not, children being granted too much screen time is not exactly healthy for our brain development. And so overexposure to these things, media, virtual reality, the virtual world, spaces that offer so much all at once, is really not healthy for the still developing brain. And lastly, we have the grind culture. So the long-running grinder hustle culture has taken only a turn for the worse in the present times. More so when taking breaks isn't an option. So this mindset of maximizing everything, every minute, every hour, just all the tasks that you need to do, exhausts your energy and brain function more than we realize. When we're not allowed to take a breather amidst everything, we tend to go on an overdrive and consequently overheat on all our functions just to keep up with this grind set or hustle culture. And so what about it? Overstimulation can confuse your brain because of the overload of information it needs to process, right? And this spikes to irritability, anger, clumsiness, or even sudden sugar cravings because your body does not know how exactly to cope. And because overstimulation makes us more sensitive to the world inside and outside of us simultaneously, physical reactions such as covering of the eyes, ears, screaming, punching, or even removing of jewelry or clothing to minimize it as much as possible is done. This is because we are receiving too much information all at once, so we feel every single thing like having heightened senses rubbing you the wrong way. This is kind of like having spidey senses, but in the worst way possible. And so as mentioned, overstimulation can happen to anyone, but it also has varying effects. With that being said, there are specific individuals who may be more vulnerable to getting overstimulated than others. Let's run by this. So to start off, children are easily susceptible to overstimulation as they are quite new to information about the world and of themselves. They're still getting used to stuff. Things like the texture of food, hugs, music, and conversations. And much more of the children of today who are fed with electronics like iPads to keep them occupied. When a single device feeds them with an abundance of information that they can cope with, paired with other things going on around them, it causes a lot of sensory and processing issues for children. And for individuals with ADHD or autism, overstimulation happens every day, if not every minute of the day. This is because their brains have difficulty filtering sensory input, so their tolerance for things like light and sound sensitivity or even emotional regulation are significantly lower. This also leads to their brains having a harder time prioritizing different stimuli, making them feel everything at once. And if you've been on TikTok, there's a chance you may have seen videos made by creators with autism that share their life with its condition. They can talk about how the texture of the tag of a shirt makes them uncomfortable or how they can't handle loud noises. So these things also do with prioritizing the information that the brain is receiving. And lastly, we have individuals with PTSD. So PTSD comes from experiencing one or more traumatic events in one's lifetime. People diagnosed with PTSD are hyper-aware of their surroundings and may result into overstimulation when exposed to a trigger, which we will cover later on in this video. And so let's go back into how overstimulation affects our generation. And as my own generation and those younger are barely given time to think, since we're in a constant state of distracting ourselves, there's very little time to reflect on life. Thinking and being productive is a lot harder when you're not trying to do either. So not only is it harder to critically think, but it also makes it more difficult to look at the positives and negative happenings in one's life as they come. This makes the affected generations more prone to things like demotivation, depression, and suicidal thoughts. And all this also relates to us having this fish memory. So just to give brief context, did you know that 15 years ago, the average human attention span was 12 seconds? And as of 2022, the average has now become 8.25 seconds. Sit about it, think about it. That's a lot of time taken away from our attention span. And so distractibility in people has become enough of an issue that it has become a popular myth that goldfish now have longer attention spans. And so this means that in a general sense, people are becoming worse at listening and remembering in the short term. And so if you piece this together, it really goes in tandem with how we're already having a difficult time processing things as they are, and how we're not able to pay attention to things as we were before. And lastly, the issue with always having something to do, and that once there isn't something to do, we don't know how to handle that very well. As creatures of habit, we tend to grow frustrated when we are otherwise unable to give in to those habits. And given the current state of our generation, this means that people end up lacking the patience to do things outside of their favorite activities such as gaming. This results in people generally becoming more impatient, having difficulty thinking of the long-term effects of their actions, and having a harder time waiting for, thinking about, and achieving long-term goals. And knowing all this about overstimulation and how it just becomes a part of our reality nowadays in this modern society, there still are very much ways we can manage it and things that we can do as a generation to help curb this phenomenon of overstimulation. So first is to limit our screen time and set boundaries, especially for the younger generations. So maybe it's a fault of the pandemic or the lack of education towards childcare, but technology eventually became the main method of satiating our boredom. It doesn't matter if you're the watcher or the creator, you're still a part of this trap. So that's why in this world full of temptations, it's important to set your boundaries, whether for yourself or for others. So it's as simple as setting down your phone or putting it away. Just get a few more sleeping hours and spare time to do other activities that interact with the world rather than just only touching your phone screen. Second is to exercise mindfulness. Inhale and exhale. Close your eyes and feel the energy of your body flowing. These are the type of lines you can often hear in tutorial videos. And while it sounds silly, this type of exercise can be beneficial. It's used not only to regulate emotions, but along with other mental processes, including our sensory. Hence, rather than cope with stress and boredom through short videos, encourage yourself to meditate and practice mindfulness training. It's boring at first for sure, but it's a good change of pace. Next is to touch grass, aka get a safe space that is devoid of sensory overload. So let's be honest, going outside and checking the internet both offered stimulation, which is good and bad in their own way. Because of that, this advice is mostly for those who spend 90% of their day checking out social media and playing online games. Touching grass may be a meme, but it proved to be a necessity even before the pandemic. It's often considered as a form of meditation just by simply basking yourself in sunlight and enjoying the natural winds, not your aircon. Of course, there are many advantages, but I believe we all are aware of the most well-known ones by now. So with that in mind, don't be scared to go out. It can be as simple as stepping outside of your house and staying by your inner garden or balcony. And lastly, talk about it. Overstimulation at the end of the day stems from the consequences of what we put out into the world and into our brains. It's how we process information around us, and because it is our experience, not everyone's gonna understand it. Talking about your triggers with trusted people around you will help set boundaries and allow them to give you space when you need to remove yourself from a situation or to retreat to your safe corner. So overstimulation has become a topic of the generation with everything we're trying to tackle and whoever we're trying to be. It's a plethora of confusion and irritation at many things in the world. And with that being said, overstimulation can sometimes creep on you, and you may not notice it until your head feels like it's going to burst. And safe to say, overstimulation in this modern world has become a part of many of our realities. Our physical environments being overwhelmed with malls and virtual reality over parks and quiet spaces makes us very susceptible to sensory overload. So check in on yourself often, notice how your mind feels, how your body feels, and sometimes what your mood is like. And so these little check-ins can help you pinpoint if you're overstimulated or give you certain warning signs that something has to change or that you have to remove yourself from the situation. And so because overstimulation has become a growing part of our reality, don't be afraid to act on it. After all, it's much better to take care of your mental health across situations rather than bulldozing your way through situations which you might not even come out of sane or alive, right? And if you've reached the end of this video, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
So hello and good day to you guys. Hi, it's me, Yvonne. I know that this is Graz's video and the video ended just like a few minutes ago. But I'm recording really late at night right now and recording this little announcement right now because by the time this video is released, it should now be our celebration of 2 years of PsyPoints. So wow! And because of that, I'm really excited for what's in store for PsyPoints this year round. It's been 2 years and I really want to shake things up. And originally we started PsyPoints right at around like a few months into the pandemic itself. And because of that, all of our videos have been very limited to stuff at home or Zoom calls for interviews. And now I'm happy to announce that we are going to officially start doing some videos in person. Currently, we have street interview format like vids coming out, which you may have seen in our TikToks for followers as well. But currently, we are actually about to record our first ever full-on video that happens to also have in-person stuff tomorrow, actually, after I'm finished recording this. And I'm really excited for that. It's going to be a video about Valentine's and the psychology of love. And I don't know, I started PsyPoints right before Valentine's, so it's really... the season of love is something that's very special to PsyPoints and to me personally. And now that we're 2 years into PsyPoints, I can't believe that it's been so long. We're still going, And I'm really grateful to each and every one of you who are still here supporting us, helping us out, and are motivating us to keep doing this in the first place by continuing to watch these videos. So for that, as the head of PsyPoints, I am truly grateful to all of you for continuing to watch us now. Aside from doing in-person videos, we're also gonna try to get other different types of videos going as we get more used to an in-person type of setup, and I'm really excited to do all of that with you and to move PsyPoints further with all of you. So for that, thank you all so much. I hope you all have a great day ahead, and I can't wait to see you guys in different formats soon, maybe even in person since we're doing more like street interview stuff. So I really can't wait. So I hope you all have a great day ahead, and take care.